Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Caesar Mary tōku ingoa, he uria hau no rāhiri, he tūkau no te mara o Henia Maru. You'll be pleased to know I'm going to be fast, he's going to be fast, and he's last and he's going to be fast. So, firstly, I acknowledge my mum and my best friend who are here today. They came in to watch this kōrero. And I was called in as the teina / campaign manager of my sister, Willow Jean Prime, who has been a council member in the past and is now a member of Parliament. So I've been brought in to speak about what it takes to get into council. And some of this information might shock you. It's actually really hard. And it leads to those systemic issues that Justice was talking about this morning. I was sitting next to Uncle Patu and he said to me, "That's what I'm here for, I'm here to talk about te tiriti." And despite this hui looking a lot like a kotahitanga gathering, I'm not going to speak directly on rangatiratanga or te tiriti. I want to talk about campaign fundamentals and how we actually get our Māori people into council. But you can take everything that I'm saying as a way to express the te tiriti partnership. So without further ado, I understand, and I hope my facts are not out of date, but out of our population in Te Tai Tokiro, 33% are Māori. We only have 3 Māori councillors across the 4 councils. Fortunately, I know one of them, and she is beautiful and passionate. That's Kelly Stratford. She's from Kawakawa, but I do not know the others. Before Kelly was my sister Willow Jean. So can I just do a little stock take and see who are likely candidates in our room? Who might stand in the next 3 weeks when the nominations open? Any show of hands? Te aorangi? A couple, eh? That's actually more than I expected. Ka pai. But who thinks it's important to have Māori in council? Everybody. I thought so. It is really important, and so my speech isn't just for the candidates, because it is actually our responsibility as the community, as whānau, to elect our candidates. So my speech is about how to campaign, and it actually isn't just about the candidate. Don't ask your candidate what you're going to do for your what they're going to do for you in council. Ask yourself, how am I going to help our candidate get into council? Because if they're not even in there, their other question is secondary. So up on the board is a series of pictures from our first council campaign back in 2013, and I acknowledge my cousin Joey here, who's up on our photo there in the middle. We're fundraising out at the Te Kura o Waikaria Sports Day, and these are some of the things that I'm going to talk about in my presentation, which I'm going to speed up a little bit. My message to you as a fundamental is that if you choose to stand for council and you want to be a candidate, you need to accept that the rest of your life that you're in council or in a representative position is a campaign. You're always going to be campaigning. Whether you're in campaign period or you're in that role, you're campaigning and you're trying to get support for the rest of your entire life. And I know this for sure because our whānau has managed and run 5 campaigns in 5 years. So we had the first one in 2013. We had the second one, which was when Willow stood for the general election in 2014. She got pregnant. We always have a baby every campaign. This was the by-election against Winston Peters. You'll remember that from when one of the MPs had to stand down and it was triggered, and it was just Willow and Winston running. We had our second local council campaign. This is Willow. Obviously this was her second election, getting successfully elected. And I have to say, we were criticised when we ran for local council for running an Obama-style campaign. But as a Māori, you have to run an Obama-style campaign. That is the only way to get in. We are up against so many challenges. A democratic vote, where we aren't the majority of the population, doesn't work in our favour. So you have to be seen and you have to be out there, and that takes an Obama-style campaign. So this was our third Obama-style campaign. And then we had our last election, and in that election, Willow was successfully elected into government, and obviously she had to step down from council, and Kelly Stratford took her role in the by-election when she stood down. So I'm going to touch on primarily the first campaign, because I think that's the starting point for everybody who hasn't run for council before. It might seem really hard, but I think it's a challenge that we can all rise to, because the one thing about being Māori that makes us different is that we've got huge whānau, so we have got huge support. And as a first point, you need to think about, like the presentation said before me, who's going to nominate you. Now, Pita Tipene nominated Willow, and it was really helpful to have somebody who was representative in the community putting her name forward. So when she went to candidates' meetings, she could say, the leadership asked me to stand. So think about who is the leadership within your hapu, who are the kui and kaumātua, who runs your area, and try and get their endorsement and their support for you to stand. It is important to think about the core roles of function. When you go to the candidate hui and all of the people are grilling you, because you don't just represent Māori when you get to those hui, you need to understand what is the role of council. So do a little bit of research. You have to understand your electoral area. For Willow, she stood in the Whangaroa Bay of Islands ward, and it is the most contested seat. I think last time she ran there was 11 candidates that were seeking nomination, and only 4 of those 11 get elected. So you have to know who lives in my area, how do I get those people out to vote, and you have to do a stock take of the numbers. You have to do the numbers to get in. That's not optional. You have to figure out where does my vote lie and how do I get my people out to vote. And I think what we saw when Willow ran, which was phenomenal, was Moeroa and Koakoa and our surrounding areas getting out to vote, because our people do vote for our own people. And fortunately, when they go and vote, if they haven't voted before, that is a really strong vote. It's a new number in the game. So once your nomination is successfully received, the first thing you have to do is to build your campaign plan. And in your campaign plan, you have to think about who are my people, who's going to deliver my pamphlets. We hustled anybody we could get, people's kids, sports teams that were doing things. We asked for them to deliver our pamphlets. Who's going to put up my billboards? You have to get a billboard photo. Unfortunately, you can't just use one of those ones that you've chucked up on Facebook. You have to stand on a white wall and get a nice photo for your billboard. You have to do a little bit of a budget and figure out how much it costs to run your Obama-style campaign. But you don't have to pay for it yourself. You can fundraise. And so we fundraise for all of our campaigns. When you fundraise, you give people an opportunity to support you and to endorse you, and that's really important to bring people into your campaign. So don't see asking for money as asking for a handout, because you are, as a candidate, going to go into a very low-paid role to do a whole lot of work, and it is important that people are really supporting you in that journey. Allow them to give you their $2, their $5, their $100, and hopefully you'll get a couple of $500 donations so you can buy your billboards. You also have to have your campaign slogans. What do you stand for? Why are you running? And make sure that those slogans and what you stand for actually applies to a broad audience, not just to Māori. So actually our campaign slogan from our first campaign was from Rowena Tana, fresh and focused, and we slammed that out all over the north, and it has really been the new energy that Willow brought into campaigning in Te Tai Tokiro. You do have to get your print material together. We went down to Auckland, they were running council campaigns down there at the same time, and we chose the best looking billboard and copied it. So don't feel scared to draw your key campaign elements from things that have already been done. Campaigning's been done forever and a day. You don't have to make up new ideas. You just have to understand what are the core components to a successful campaign. And you do also really need to understand the rules. Don't break them because you get in a significant amount of trouble. We have learnt that, not the hard way, but we've had warnings. So don't put your billboard on a private property. Don't put it next to bamboo. Don't cut it down. You know, there's just all sorts of rules around billboards. In terms of social media, I do acknowledge that it's a really important aspect of the campaign. People who follow Willow will know that she has close to 10,000 followers. We've spent a really long time ensuring that we communicate whatever she is doing with as many people as possible so they are brought into the journey of politics. It's not just about her, it's about what is going on in the community, it's about our whānau, it's about some of the challenges that we face. But there is caution around your social media profile. You need to remember that people that are following you on social media already love you. So you're speaking to the converted, and it isn't a reflection on whether or not you're going to get your vote. Those people already like you, and most of them probably are not even in your voting area. So make sure that you don't rely on how many likes you're getting as an indication that you're going to win your electorate, because it really isn't, and we have learned that. The number one way that any person can win, and this is beneficial for Māori because we're very good at it, is to be a kanohi kitea. You have to be in front of your voters. You have to be connecting with them. The best way to connect with people is through talking. So you need to go to the meetings, you need to make phone calls, pick up the phone book. My mum sat in our house one afternoon and dialed around all the streets in Moirua saying, it's voting coming up, Willow Jean Prime standing, do you know Willow Jean? We're from Moirua, encouraging you to go out and vote, here's how you do it. And she literally did that to get Willow into council, out of just the white pages. Because you have to do what it takes. We, like I said, it's not easy getting into any elected role as a Māori. I asked Willow, when I was preparing the speech, I asked her, you know, what do you think that you were able to achieve in council? Was it worth it? And not only was council a platform for her to then move on to government and into bigger things, so if you have a political career, council is a really good place to start, or if you have political ambitions. But she talked about some of the things that she achieved in her tenure, and I know these for a fact because we talk every single day, we debrief every single time she comes home from a meeting, and everybody in the whānau knows what's going on. But she said that she really enjoyed being able to assist the Ngā Pipito community and Pipiwai with the sealing of their dusty roads. She said she's really, really proud of the recycling centre in Moirua, which she had a role in achieving. Each time she drives past, she said it makes her so happy to see that it's the highest used recycling centre in the north. She said it also comes down to the little things like the drinking fountain at the Kaukaua playground, so kids can have some wai when they're having a play. She also really enjoyed being part of the Whangaroa Bay of Islands Community Board, which gives out a number of grants and deals with things at a really local level in the community, like lighting. These things are really important for safety. It's not just rates, roads and rubbish, it is well-being. I, as somebody who runs an organisation, have been able to benefit from her being in those positions because I know how to make funding applications. I know how to speak to her board and get money for our area. So having our people in those places is hugely influential. I've received $10,000 funding from council for the menstrual cup campaign that we ran. So I know that it really makes a difference when we are able to connect with the people who are making the decisions. Finally, I remember, and people are going to love this one who go to the Kotaitanga Hui, Willow saying that she was struggling with the use of the word Māori in the long-term planning document. And I think from memory, what she was able to achieve through her understanding of te tiriti was to get that definition changed to include whānau, hapu and iwi. And that is significant because it means that the council then has an obligation to work at all three levels, not just one. So my message is that you can do it, you should do it, but that everybody, including those people who aren't the candidate, have a role to make that happen. And we need to have a strategy as an area, as a community, and as a region about how we change that very terrible statistic of Māori representation in local government. Kia ora tātou.